Good evening and welcome to a special report that could impact millions of Americans and reverberate around the world. Tonight, we're tracking a seismic shift in the auto industry, one that could hit your wallet, threaten American jobs, and shake the global economy to its core. The changes underway are not just numbers on a balance sheet. They're about real people, real families, and the future of entire communities. The focus is on Toyota and Honda, Japanese giants that have become pillars of US manufacturing, employing tens of thousands and shaping the way we drive. For decades, their partnership with America has created jobs, spurred innovation, and built bridges between two powerful economies. These companies have invested heavily in American soil, becoming part of the fabric of local communities. But now, new US tariffs are putting that relationship under intense pressure, threatening to unravel years of cooperation and growth. The aftershocks are global, as industries everywhere watch what happens next. From Asia to Europe, the world is bracing for the ripple effects of these policy changes. Billions have been invested in American factories and supply chains. Now, everything's in question. The future of these investments and the security of countless jobs hang in the balance. Can these companies keep building here? Will prices rise for consumers? Will showrooms go empty? And will production lines grind to a halt? What's at stake for American workers, their families, and the communities that depend on these jobs? We'll break down the history, the new tariffs, and what it all means for you, whether you're a car buyer, a worker, or simply someone concerned about the economy. This is about more than cars. It's about the future of American manufacturing, our economic security, and our place in the world economy. Stay with us as we dive into the auto shock, sending ripples across the globe, affecting industries, workers, and consumers everywhere. Let's start at the beginning and see how we arrived at this critical moment in automotive history. To understand today's crisis in the auto industry, we need to look back at how it all began. The story of Japanese automakers in America is one of innovation, adaptation, and transformation, shaping not just the cars we drive, but the communities we live in. In the 1970s and 80s, Japanese automakers like Honda and Toyota entered a struggling US market with fuel-efficient cars. At a time when American manufacturers were reeling from the oil crisis and producing larger, less efficient vehicles, Japanese brands offered a compelling alternative: reliable, affordable, and economical cars that quickly won over American drivers. Instead of blocking imports, the US government made a strategic decision. They encouraged Japanese companies to build cars here, using American workers and local resources. This approach not only protected jobs, but also fostered collaboration between two powerful economies. Honda opened its first US plant in Marysville, Ohio in 1982, proving high-quality Japanese manufacturing could thrive on American soil. This was a turning point, showing that foreign investment could revitalize American industry. Toyota soon followed, launching its massive Kentucky plant in 1988. These factories became symbols of a new era, blending Japanese efficiency with American labor and ingenuity. These investments transformed local economies, creating a vast network of suppliers and supporting hundreds of thousands of jobs. Small towns across the Midwest saw new opportunities as auto plants brought prosperity and hope. Over time, these companies became deeply woven into American communities, sponsoring local events, supporting charities, and becoming American brands in the eyes of many. Their presence extended far beyond the factory floor, touching lives in countless ways. Their success relied on stable trade, importing some parts, assembling in the US, and selling to American consumers. This global supply chain allowed for innovation and kept prices competitive, benefiting everyone involved. This delicate balance fueled decades of growth, making Japanese automakers a cornerstone of the American auto industry and a driver of economic progress. Now that balance faces its greatest threat in a generation. Rising tensions, new trade policies, and the specter of tariffs have created uncertainty for workers, companies, and consumers alike. The new tariffs could upend a model that's worked for over 40 years, disrupting supply chains and putting jobs at risk on both sides of the Pacific. The stakes are enormous for both countries. The decisions made now will shape the future of the auto industry and the livelihoods of millions for years to come. What happens next could redefine global trade, setting new precedents for how nations cooperate or compete in a rapidly changing world. Let's look at the new rules changing everything and what they mean for the future of cars, jobs, and international business. The White House has announced sweeping new tariffs targeting automotive parts and fully assembled electric vehicles from countries including Japan. Starting November 1st, a 25% tariff hits key EV components like batteries and motors, directly impacting Toyota and Honda's supply chains. On January 1st, a 50% tariff will be imposed on all imported electric vehicles. While many gas-powered cars are built here, most advanced EVs and hybrids are still imported. The administration says the goal is to protect national security and boost domestic manufacturing. Automakers warn these tariffs will mean higher prices and fewer choices for American consumers. Toyota and Honda both say their decades of US investment are being overlooked, creating deep uncertainty. Both companies are now scrambling to adapt to a more expensive, complicated market. The pressure is on to rethink their entire US strategy. Let's see how Toyota is responding. For Toyota, these new tariffs threaten to upend its entire American strategy, casting a shadow over decades of careful planning and investment. With over $40 billion invested in US plants, Toyota's Made in America reputation is on the line. These factories have become pillars of local economies, providing thousands of jobs and supporting entire communities. The 25% tariff on imported EV parts will immediately raise costs for vehicles assembled in the US, squeezing profit margins and forcing tough decisions about pricing and production. The looming 50% tariff on imported EVs could make some models unaffordable overnight, potentially driving away customers and leaving dealership lots emptier than ever before. In response, Toyota is racing to ramp up US battery production, breaking ground on new facilities and retraining workers. But retooling takes years and billions more in investment, with no guarantee of success. The company now faces a crossroads. Should it double down on American manufacturing, risking even more capital, or shift focus to more stable international markets where the rules are clearer? Internal debates are intense and ongoing. Everything from production schedules to new model launches is under review, as leaders weigh the risks and opportunities in this rapidly changing landscape. The message from Washington is clear. The old model of global cooperation is no longer guaranteed. Political winds can shift quickly, and automakers must adapt or fall behind. Toyota must now decide how to survive and even thrive in this new era of uncertainty, where every decision could shape its future for decades to come. The stakes couldn't be higher for its American workforce, whose livelihoods depend on the company's next move. Families, towns, and entire regions are watching and waiting. Now let's turn to Honda, another giant facing similar challenges in this turbulent new landscape. Honda, the first Japanese automaker to build cars in the US, faces its own set of challenges. Plants in Ohio, Indiana, and Alabama are the backbone of its American operations. Honda's goal, 100% zero-emission vehicle sales by 2040, including a key partnership with GM for affordable EVs. But the 50% tariff on imported EVs puts models like the Honda Prologue at risk. Honda is investing heavily to retool US plants and build batteries domestically, but these projects take time. In the meantime, tariffs will raise costs for both imported and American-made electrified vehicles. Honda may have to delay new models or focus on hybrids, which are less affected but still face higher costs. The company is caught between its long-term vision and a sudden policy shock. For Honda, careful planning has collided with a new era of uncertainty. What does this mean for you? Expect higher prices on new cars, especially electric and hybrid models. A 25% tariff on EV parts means even US-built hybrids could get more expensive. A 50% tariff on imported EVs could add tens of thousands to the sticker price, putting them out of reach for many families. Fewer affordable models may be available, slowing America's transition to cleaner vehicles. Rising new car prices could also push more buyers into the used market, driving up prices there too. Less competition means fewer choices and higher costs for everyone. Trade policy is about to hit home, in your driveway. This story is about people, tens of thousands of American workers, whose livelihoods depend on these factories. For many towns, Toyota and Honda plants have been engines of prosperity. Supporters of the tariffs hope they'll force more production and jobs onto US soil. But automakers warn that higher costs could mean fewer sales, production cuts, and job losses. A slowdown at one plant can ripple through dozens of suppliers, threatening entire communities. Workers are anxious, wondering if the jobs they've relied on for decades are at risk. The gamble, that long-term gains from domestic production will outweigh short-term pain. The outcome will shape the future of American manufacturing towns. For now, uncertainty rules the factory floor. The stakes are personal and national. Industry analysts say we're at a turning point. For decades, automakers built global supply chains for maximum efficiency. Now, tariffs are pushing companies toward regionalization, building separate supply chains for North America, Europe, and Asia. This shift is costly and could slow innovation, but it may also spark a race for new technologies like solid-state batteries. The country that masters next-generation EV tech and can build it at scale will have a major edge. But experts warn, if every region puts up trade walls, collaboration and progress could stall. The global exchange of ideas has made cars safer and more affordable. If we retreat into corners, consumers will pay the price. The future may be more American-made, but also more expensive and less dynamic. The world is watching what happens next. We're witnessing a high-stakes reordering of the global auto industry, with the US at its center. Toyota and Honda must now make critical decisions that will affect millions of Americans. Will they invest more in US factories or shift production elsewhere? The fate of entire communities hangs in the balance. The choices made today will shape the cars we drive and the jobs we have for decades. We'll keep tracking the story from factory floors to boardrooms. The road ahead is uncertain, but its impact will be felt by all of us. Thank you for watching.